Welcome to this edition of Access Together. These shows are made possible through the combined efforts of Shelby County Schools and GHS-TV. The shows are hosted by the members of the community and utilize the staff and facilities of Germantown High School. If you would like to watch our live stream or get more information about these shows, log on to our website, ghstv.org. Thank you, and we hope you enjoy the following presentation.
Welcome to Inspiring Leaders. I'm Donna Chandler Newman, your host for our show, and thank you for watching our program. Through this show, we meet community leaders and we examine how they're using their unique talents and skill sets to make a difference. And through our discussions, we hope to inspire others to discover and to share their own leadership abilities for the overall betterment of our community. Now, today's show is about the Exchange Club Family Center, an organization that's working to eliminate family violence. Their story is about, and I quote this from their website, resilience, relationships, and healing. And I think that's a goal worthy of our attention and our support. I believe you'll enjoy learning about the Family Center and how they do the work they do and how it makes such a profound difference in the lives they serve and, in fact, in our entire community. In this first portion of our show, we'll meet Jennifer Balink, Executive Director of the Family Center, and in our second segment of our show, Jennifer and I will be joined by Greg Pohlman, Chairman of the Board of Directors for the Family Center. Joining us now, Jennifer Balink, Executive Director of the Family Center. Welcome, Jennifer.
Thank you.
I'm so glad you're with us today. Thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me.
You really work on a very worthy organization, and I appreciate that. You bring to this organization a very extensive background. Tell us a little bit about your background and about how you got involved with the Exchange Club Family Center.
Well, I'll try and make it a short story. There's always a long one because we're in the South. I'm a native Memphian and came back here about 17 years ago, have worked in public policy and for-profit corporations and not-for-profit initiatives, and been involved in a number of different programs in the community. And about a year and a half ago, was leaving the Community Blood Center. I had been at Lifeblood for 9 years, and the Exchange Club Family Center was at a time of transition and change. They were looking for a new executive director after 23 years of leadership from their champion Barbara King, and it all fell into place the way things do sometimes, and I'm so glad to be there.
Well, I understand you're making quite the difference there too, and I'm very proud for you and proud for them as well, because you are bringing quite the background. You've also lived in other cities, haven't you?
I have. I lived, as I said, I grew up in Memphis and went away for college. I intended never to come back here, as some people do when they leave, and lived in Boston. I've lived in Wyoming. I lived in Omaha for a number of years, worked in the telecommunications industry, and came back to Memphis to work on a house that I owned that was had rented out while I lived out of town. And you know how things change in your family. My mother got ill, and my husband and I stayed here, and then we started a family, and we have made this our home for 17 years. So it's great.
So your past with Memphis, as well as your experience in other cities, all bring a different light to what you're doing now, and that's a good thing.
It is.
Tell me a little bit about the history of the organization itself.
We're 35 years old this month. The Exchange Club Family Center was started in 1982 by a group of local Exchange Club members. Many people don't know that Exchange Clubs like Rotary or Kiwanis or Lions Club is a service club with chapters all over the country. And the local Exchange Clubs brought a program called Parent Aid to our community in 1982. And Parent Aid was developed by a pediatrician in Jackson, Mississippi, and others, but he was the leader, to work with parents in their homes, parents who were using physical violence to discipline their children, because he believed that they could learn a different way, that maybe that's what they had grown up with, and so that's what they thought of as their normal, and that by training volunteers to work with them to teach them different parenting skills and styles, that it would benefit the children. So that's where we started. And over 35 years, we have grown the way agencies do to start other initiatives but all of them support families to break the cycle of family violence.
So that's really the mission of the organization then, right?
Our mission is to end family violence.
It's quite a profound thing to say, And I'm sincerely wishing that you do that and hope that you do that. I know you're making great steps toward it. Tell me a little bit about how you find the people that you work with. Do you find them, they find you? How do you become
It's a little bit of both. You know, family violence, even just saying those words sort of makes us feel uncomfortable. It is, and it should. It's often an invisible problem. It's an issue that people struggle with in their homes that they don't want to tell anybody about or talk to anyone. Often when a family comes to us or when individuals living in a family come to us, they've been referred by another agency or by the courts, by the Department of Children's Services. We get a number of referrals. Most of the people who come to us are referred by another place because that invisible problem has become visible. Whether it is at school, a child acting out and the school counselors think maybe they should connect them with another resource, or someone through the courts, parents through the courts where there is a suspicion of child maltreatment or neglect, or there has been an assault on another family member and they're sent to us.
Goodness.
Yeah.
You're right, that family violence term in itself, it makes you very uncomfortable, as it well should. I guess it's hard for people to come in there and see you for the first time, isn't it?
It's very hard. As I said, it's, you know, families are complicated. All of our families are complicated, and family relationships are complicated, complex things. Often there will be people who grew up with violence in their homes, who have a different, you know, they've experienced that and it doesn't seem as foreign to them as it might be to somebody else. It becomes their norm. And in a stressful environment, sometimes, you know, job loss or addictions or other sorts of issues that can happen in a family will bring that violence, will elevate violence or escalate violence in the family. Mm-hmm. And so when they come to us, often there's a lot that's not going right for them and for their family, and it's hard to talk about, and especially if it's court referred, they don't want to, you know, don't want anybody to see them going in there. My husband is from New Mexico. He's not a native Memphian, but has lived here long enough. When I started working at the Family Center, he was going to meet me one day and didn't want me to come let him in the front door of our building, and he didn't want people driving up and down Union Avenue to see us walking in the building together. And I asked him to explain that. I said, you know, we're the good guys. We help people. And he said, but we'll know people driving past who will wonder what we did that made us have to go there. And he said that early as I started, and I've been thinking about what that feels like, and to make sure that for people who are feeling that way, embarrassed and vulnerable. And the stigma that when they come inside the doors, what they find is warmth and help.
Mm-hmm. And I will point out that you do have a building that's on Union.
We do.
As a matter of fact, there are a number of things that you do in that building. Matter of fact, if you pull up your services thing on your website, you'll see that there are meetings and this and that and all kinds of things going on. Talk about your program. What are the numerous facets of your program?
I'll try and keep them simple in categories. There are multiple pieces of some of the programs, but we offer parenting supports, which includes classes for parents and mentors for adolescent parents. We'll partner somebody, a therapist with teen parents, adolescent parents who are referred to us by schools. So a parenting program, parenting supports to help mothers and fathers, sometimes together, sometimes individually, learn new ways of interacting with their children. So that's sort of our original mission, our original work. We also have programs for anger management is the broad category, and that's an adult anger management program for mostly men who are referred to us for help learning how to express their anger in nonviolent ways. Mm-hmm. And we have a program called CAMP, Comprehensive Anger Management, that usually starts with a child who's referred to us for something that's going on in the family that has led to an episode at school. And then we have a what many people may know our work to be, which is a victim services set of programs that are individual counseling and group therapy for victims of violence or children who have witnessed violence, to help them recover from that, to help them heal from that experience, and to learn things about themselves and about relationships that will help them not have that happen again.
Not continue the
Not
cycle.
continue the cycle
Of violence,
Right.
because that's really what it is. Talk about that CAMP program. It stands for something.
It stands for Comprehensive Anger Management Program, CAMP. And if you were the parent of a teen, say, and your teenager was acting out violently at home or in school, the counselor might say, we recommend that you go to the Exchange Club Family Center for this program. And you would call us and we would say, that's terrific, we'll see your whole family for the intake, and we would welcome your family, and your child who was the one struggling in school would go into a group that was age specific, facilitated by a therapist working with adolescents and teens. If you had younger children, they'd go into a group with younger children, and you as the parent or two parents would come into a group with other parents. So we work with the whole family at the same time, because often what's happening is, again, complicated and has to do with the relationship. So there's one incident that makes it visible, but there's a whole lot of other stuff going on that we try and help resolve. And the idea is, working with only one person in a family doesn't really help that whole family. It's the relationships and how the people interact.
Basically, you're putting a Band-Aid on when you do that, right? You're addressing symptoms and not the core problem.
Correct.
I see. You know, you have another program that friends of mine have been involved with called Co-Parenting for Divorced and Separated.
Yes, that's our last. So back under parenting supports. Thank you for reminding me of that. The divorcing parents class, co-parenting. We use a curriculum called transparenting. We've used a program called transparenting before. It's for people who are getting divorced who have children in the home, and that's a requirement in the state of Tennessee. If you are divorcing and have children, you have to take a parenting class and you work on a parenting plan. And that class helps the adults learn how not to fight and bring other trauma on their children during the divorce process.
Well, it's tough enough,
Tough
basically.
enough, yeah.
And so you and several other agencies do participate in that, correct?
We do. We spearheaded that. That's one of the things that was important to our board years ago, to lead that effort, to make that a requirement. And there are now others that offer that. It has to be a court certified program to complete that requirement.
I see. Well, so that's an important one as well. Is that one of the things that sets you aside from other organizations? Does that make you different?
Our whole family approach, I think, is what, and so by whole family, it's not necessarily the whole family all at the same time, but we work with everybody who would be involved in that dynamic. We have a program or service for everybody who would be involved in that.
Well, you're serving a vital need in the community. Will you stay here with me while we're joined by your chairman?
I'd be delighted.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Stay right here, Jennifer.
Okay.
We're going to pause now for a short break, and when we return, Jennifer and I will be joined by Greg Pohlman, chairman of the board of directors for the Family Center.
I wish I was in school. If only I had a math test today. I'll stay after class. I'll clean the chalkboard. I wish I was in school.
School ends, but free lunches for your kids don't have to. Find your local food bank at feedingamerica.org/summer meals for help.
Hello and welcome to Cable Quiz, the academic.
Do you know how incredible it is to work at a TV station in high school?
GHS-TV is a student-run television station.
There's so many things you can do here at GHS-TV. You can be in front or behind the camera or both. You have that opportunity. There are no limits.
We have sports and we have news and we have entertainment. So the students here get a well-rounded view of what it's like to be in the TV field.
It's my life. It's what I want to do.
From all of us here at GHS-TV, thanks for starting your morning with us. For more information about the Kappa program, visit ghskappa.com or call 755-7775. You're watching the award-winning GHS-TV, a nationally recognized student television station.
Welcome back. We're pleased to continue talking with Jennifer Balink, Executive Director of the Exchange Club Family Center, and to meet Greg Pohlman, Chairman of their Board of Directors, as we continue learning more about the exceptional work of the Family Center. Thank you for staying with us, Jennifer, and thank you for joining us today, Greg.
Thank you for having us.
Now, Greg, I know that this is a volunteer position for you. You actually head up a firm called Scott & Pohlman. It's an accounting firm, right?
That's right. We've been in existence for about 25 years.
Have you really?
In this community, yes, we have.
My gracious, that's quite the long track record. So I also know what it's like to have an accountant for a husband, so I know how busy your schedule is. You spend a lot of time, talent, and treasure with the Family Center. Tell me why that's important to you. Why do you think there are 3,000 nonprofits? Why the Exchange Club Family Center?
Well, I'll be honest with you. About two and a half years ago, I had a friend of mine that was asked me to join the board because they needed my skill set. Mm-hmm. And quite honestly, I didn't know what the Exchange Club Family Center did. I drove by that building hundreds of times in my life. Mm-hmm. And had no idea. So I started doing research about it and understood that there is a lot of violence that can be fixed, and if we can fix that violence, we can help the community. And I thought that that would be something that would be good for me to get involved with, because I know that if we can stop this, we can help our community.
Well, you're exactly right. That's at the heart of a lot of what is wrong and going on in Memphis that we don't like. There's so many things we do like, but
absolutely.
But that violence issue oftentimes starts at home, doesn't it?
It sure does.
Yeah, and that sure hurts our national crime statistics as well. So that's a worthwhile dedication of your time. So you started as their accountant, right?
No, actually, I mean, they needed my skill set. I found out why later, but they needed my skill set to help with balancing the budget
so
and
you were
deal
the
with
treasurer.
Just the treasurer. That's
okay,
it.
Gotcha. Okay, the unofficial accountant,
That's
the
right.
treasurer.
Absolutely.
Gotcha. And now you're the chairman of the board.
Yes, I am.
So tell me, you've been chairman of the board for just about 6 months, and you
That's
have
correct.
6 more to go.
Hopefully.
Tell me exactly what that entails.
Well, it's involved. I am the head of the entire board. We are a strong working board. Mm-hmm. Basically, I'm the voice of the board. We go and talk to foundations about trying to find money, and we look for other ways to help. Jennifer and I we talk weekly, if not more than weekly, about the programs and how we can help them and how we can fix things and how the board can help her and her staff do a better job.
You have how many members on that board?
We have presently 20.
20 members on the board.
That is true.
Okay, that's perfect. And you don't have that large of a staff, do you, considering what you do?
About 35 people.
See, and considering all the programs that you've just discussed, that's not that many, and 20 people on the board. So your board is charged with, for one thing, raising the money, right?
That is correct.
So tell me where your funds come from for the Family Center Exchange Club Family Center.
We have a variety of places that it comes from.
Okay.
We have a gala that we do every year. Mm-hmm. The Germantown Horse Show is one of our big supporters.
Yes.
We use private foundations. Mm-hmm. We also have corporations that have donated money to us, and also we receive some fees from services.
So the fees are probably from what, the co-parenting? Is that where they're from?
So many of our clients pay fees for the services that we provide, which is standard for those services. Mm-hmm. It's on a sliding scale. Most of the folks who come to us, many of the folks who come to us, don't have resources to go another place. They don't have financial resources to come, and so we accommodate that. We wouldn't want anyone not to receive help they need because of money.
Mm-hmm. Which is why it's so important to raise enough to keep you operational.
Right.
Right, I get it, yeah. You also get some money from the city and the county, right?
Right.
So both of those organizations, we need to continue to encourage our representatives to keep donating, correct?
We're very thankful for that. We have support from the city and the county. We receive some state block grant money. And also we're a United Way agency and have been for a long time. And so we have a diverse base of money that comes from a lot of different places all trying to solve the same problem.
Actually, that's very wise to diversify like that. You also have individuals that make contributions, correct?
Yes, we do.
Now, why do individuals choose to donate to you? What kinds of, who's your typical donor?
You know, I don't know that we have a typical donor. There's so many different ways that people might become connected with our work. Some of our donors have a history in their own families and understand what the difference that we can make by providing mental health services to folks who are struggling with family violence, and they want to continue to support that resource financially. Other folks recognize how fortunate they are not to have had any violence in their own families and want to provide support for those who do struggle in that way. So it's a real range of people who want to help others and for whom family is important.
And corporations also help you. Now, why would a corporation be interested in helping you? What's the benefit to them?
Well, we feel that corporations, first of all, to just help the community for one.
Right.
But also, if we can help their employees stop the violence, it might keep them on the workplace and keep them from missing work and having to retrain.
I see. So basically it could keep down absenteeism, which keeps down the whole learning curve thing going over again, which is very expensive, but also continuity of the workforce. But also is there trouble in the workforce? Are there people who forget things or don't do their job thoroughly when they're distracted by family violence?
Well, you and I talked about this in our earlier time together about how family violence is often an invisible problem.
Right.
And so one of the statistics that's just astounding is about half the victims of family violence or sexual assault will lose their jobs. And when you think, how could that be? Often it is because the symptoms of that problem look different. So absenteeism or issues with performance in the job, anger that comes out at work that leads to corrective action that ends up in job loss. And the true cause of that sometimes doesn't come out. And so I think we are becoming more courageous about talking about what happens in the home and how to help with violence in particular on both sides, for both the victims of violence and those who act out in violence against their own family members, and really look at how we can stop that from continuing.
And remove the stigma and also help. So if I were a corporation, I'd have many places to give my money, but this one actually does return something. If I have problems, I'm not likely to hear about them directly from the employee, correct?
Right. And we talk about education and the future of the workforce and how education plays into our economy and
that's true.
And our the talent that we need here. Children who grow up in a home that's marked by violence have a hard time in school. It's hard to concentrate. It's hard to recover from that trauma and really be involved and engaged. And so working with the whole family to address that trauma and get everybody to a new place really help. It's a multi-generational fix.
Mm-hmm. I could see that and stopping the cycle, as we talked about before. Greg, we've known each other and I've known your whole family forever. You have, 6 brothers? There's 7 of you in the Pohlman family. You have 3 daughters. You're from an absolutely wonderful family. But this domestic violence is an interesting thing. We've all known people who've been involved with it. One of the things you talked to me about earlier is about not considering the people you are raising money for as being victims. Tell me about that.
Well, what we're trying to do is change the whole process of how people are treated when they are victims of domestic violence. Okay, we want to help them feel better about themselves and not treat them as poor, pitiful people. We want to help them and the community and not just put a Band-Aid on it. We want to fix it.
So basically, you're helping them pull themselves up at the same time.
Absolutely.
Correct? With some self-respect and
Resilience.
And
Absolutely.
resilience, yes, that's the word that you had said earlier. So one of the taglines, doesn't your tagline say helping families or helping children healing families?
Mm-hmm.
Talk about what that means.
Well, it goes back to the generational issue. If we can help heal the trauma that children see and experience so that they don't grow up to be either victims or perpetrators of violence as adults, then we have broken that cycle. And that heals a family over time and heals our community over time. So
the repercussions and the ripple effect from what you do is very, very strong.
Yes.
Okay, so I'm going to go back to your funding situation only because I know it's very difficult with so many nonprofits in the area. You mentioned special events, but we didn't talk about them per se. You have a gala that's in February, right?
February 24th.
At what time?
February 24th at 7 o'clock. This year's event is going to be held at Ballet Memphis, the new venue in Overton Square. We're very excited about it.
I bet you are. That place is gorgeous, isn't it?
It's beautiful.
Okay, so the 24th of February.
Correct.
7 o'clock. You also have the horse show, which is I think the second week in June. And you guys work with them on their ads and all, so if anybody wanted to help out by buying an ad for their program, that helps you.
That helps us. We are so grateful to the Germantown Charity Horse Show. We've been their beneficiary, or the beneficiary of that charity work for 19 years, and could not be more grateful for everything.
They think the world of you too, as a matter of fact. I want to thank you all for the wonderful work you do. It's a tough topic. It's tough to approach, it's tough to work with, but thank you all for the efforts that you give and for the great work that you do in our community. Thanks for being with us today.
Thank you, Donna.
Thank you for having us. Thank you.
And thank you for being with us today for Inspiring Leaders. We appreciate our guests on today's show, Jennifer Balink and Greg Pohlman, both representing the Exchange Club Family Center. Now, if what you've heard on our program today has inspired you to learn more, to become involved, and to donate to this very worthy cause, the Exchange Club Family Center, then please visit their website, exchangeclub.net. Now, if you're interested in the air dates of Inspiring Leaders or of any other show on our television station, you can visit GHS-TV.org, where we're streaming live 24 hours a day. You can keep up with GHS-TV by visiting our website. We hope you'll like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. Thank you again for joining us, and be sure and watch our show, Inspiring Leaders, again next month.